guys? Welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an article titled, How to Hide a Promiscuous Past from Your New Man. And a big shout out to Andrew for sending me this article. And guys, this article, which is written by a woman, is literally a how-to guide for women to deceive their men about their past. So when I tell you guys all the time that we're living in Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0 world, here's a perfect example when a guide is written to teach women how to completely deceive their men when they start getting with or dating a new guy about their past. And you know it's that bad when this has to be done, or at least is thought to have to be done. So this whole thing is going to go through this, like I said, a how-to guide, all these different steps for a gal to hide their past. Okay? And I'm doing this for multiple reasons, guys. One, obviously, to point this out, just to make sure you guys are aware that this is actually out there, these step-by-step guides. So for you guys to do dating relationships, you are aware of this. Two, to, again, back up why I call this Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0 world. Also, three, how it's so important, guys, for you relationship guys, that relationships are all built on trust. That is the foundation. And if you don't have trust, that's it. It's not going to work for all relationships, whether it be romantic relationships, relationships amongst friends, business relationships, whatever you want to call it. If you can't trust the person you're doing business with or a relationship with or friends with, it's not going to work. But already, this is teaching to start the relationship on a lie. Okay? And last but not least, this is a perfect example why so many guys just are avoiding relationships. And many actually avoiding dating at all, because of things like this. And it's funny how I talk about these things. I go over personal stories that guys send me. I go over articles that help men out. And yet, I'm labeled the bad guy. I have a lot of enemies that will love to see me go down. And I just don't see how I'm the bad guy when I point out information like this to help guys be aware of what is being said, what is being encouraged, and things like that. But anyhow, that being said, I'm going to get into this thing and add my thoughts on this as I go along. And by the way, I saved the best for last, some of the comments. The comments and responses to people reading this article from men and women all over the world. They're quite entertaining. So it starts off, the title is How to Hide a Promiscuous Past from Your New Man. Sometimes the sex is so slamming, you can't risk scaring him off. Here's what you gotta do. It says, first of all, let's make one thing perfectly clear. There is absolutely nothing wrong with being a SLUT. There you go, right there in the first sentence. That can pretty much sum up the attitude of the author of this article. The fact is that you have to kiss a lot of frogs before you find your prince. And in this year, 2022, people are free to experience sex no matter their color or creed. Kiss a lot of frogs? Don't you mean suck the sausage of a lot of frogs? I think, let's be honest here, if you're trying to keep it real, that's what's going on here. Also, your current partner is the only person it could possibly concern, and that means that the wild ride is by definition the past. You're getting a relationship with somebody, they deserve to know about your past because it impacts them for lots of reasons. But one also about you want from the guy catching something. How about that? Amongst many other things. In an ideal world, men wouldn't care about our number whatsoever. But seeing as it's still a white something patriarchy thing, we're going to go ahead and assert that men absolutely will find issue with a woman having scored numbers on the higher end of the SLUT spectrum. Well, I'd like to know, in her opinion, what is high numbers? 100, 200, 400? Because believe me, I've heard stories and articles with these kind of numbers, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have. And this is being written because, again, sadly, because this is encouraged nowadays. You can't be a strong, empowered gal unless you have a huge amount of numbers, and not to mention cheating on a guy, because that's truly when a gal's empowered. You guys have heard the stories. And guys have a reason to have issue with this for many, many reasons. Reputation, fear of catching something, amongst many other things. And oftentimes when guys find out about a gal's past like this, they head for the hills. They run like their butt is on fire. And I've done stories where guys find out eventually that their wife or girlfriend lied about their past, and they're out of there. And the girl's crying her eyes out and singing the blues because, God forbid, she has to have some accountability for her past actions. The past will come back to haunt you. And no guy wants to be with a gal like that. It is one thing to have relationships throughout your life, your teenage years, college, 20s, with someone that you care about, and you obviously are hooking up with them, as opposed to just random sex with 200 dudes between, 16 and 29. No guy wants that. Anyhow, and sometimes the sex is so good you can't risk scaring him off. This tutorial is for those times. Here's what you got to do. Okay, number 1. Try to find out the number of people that he has slept with. If it's more than what you've bagged so far, chill. You don't have to say anything. Well, guess what? Unless the gal looks like the elephant lady, the odds are she's going to have way more partners than a dude, because it's so much easier. Most guys, whether they want to admit it or not, will pretty much nail anything as long as, she's under 200 pounds and has, bathed in the last week. That's pretty much it. And guys are full of shit if they're saying no way, It's so much easier. A gal could literally hold up a sign saying free you know what, and there'd be a line down 5 city blocks of dudes, especially if she's good looking, okay, and in her prime. But for a guy, it's a lot harder. So, of course, she's going to have higher numbers than a dude. Number 2, lie. It's that simple. Okay, back to the relationships and foundations. You're going to build your relationship foundation on a lie. How does that usually work out? Says important, and then follow up with almost a virginal act, but don't overdo it. Number 3, tell all if you must, but with a twist. She says, like promoting a couple of bunks to an old boyfriend status. That way you get to go down to telling tales about 2 or 3 men in total. Okay, whatever the hell she's supposed to mean there. Number 4, tell the truth, maybe. Some men are actually not bothered by a woman's lively past. Oh yeah? Name one. But before you tell all, be sure you are dating one such. How do you find out? Well, is he hot? Translation, if he's a hot guy, a top percentage guy, then the odds are he's had a lot of gals, so maybe he might not care about your past. Newsflash, the guy's going to care about your past, okay? Even PORN stars are going to care about the gal's past. Is that screwed up? If it was a PORN star, yeah, of course. But still. But back to number 2, the odds are she's going to have a way higher number than the guy. Now, there are some dudes that are into alternative lifestyles, if you will. And those are usually the guys maybe from the get-go might be okay with like open relationships, open marriages, whatever, if they both come into that. But in terms of the past, you lie about the past, it's going to come back to haunt you, and a lot of guys will take off even if they're married. Or how many stories have I done where guys found out that in the gal's past, not only did she have a lot of dudes, way more than she let him think, but also she was way more adventurous, if you will, with those dudes in the past, because they were the bad boys, the guys that she'd party with and have a good time. But he was Mr. Nice Guy who she'd settled down with. And the nice guy, the ones that the marriage material guys, never, I repeat, never get the same amount of freakiness that the Chad and Tyrones get. Never. Okay, number 5. Pretend that the past lovers were terrible. And even if you decide to reveal everything, remember that when you did, you didn't enjoy it much either. It's not that it didn't mean anything, it's just that with him, it means so much more. So tamper your truth or dare with a bit of a baby, you're the best. Always goes down well. In other words, yeah, I slept with 200 guys, not that she would say that, but they were all terrible. But with you, you make me feel a way that no man could ever make me. And believe me, if this guy has half a brain, knows darn well, yeah, right. So for you guys who are getting compliments like that or something like that, just think about that a little bit. Number 6. Now this is awful. This is truly awful. Number 6. Say they abused you. Translation, her former lovers, that they did these awful things. Here we go with accusations. Don't let your man think too critically when you're being creative with the truth. God, she is doubling and tripling down with the lying and the deceit. Toy with his emotions by hinting or even saying outright that a lot of the old boyfriends abused you. That's criminal. And this gal's encouraging this. How many girls are going to read this and think this is a good idea? Even if some of them take 10% of what she says and apply it in their real life, that's making things worse. Making things up about guys saying they did awful things to you. She is a piece of garbage. The This is why I'm doing this, guys. And again, I'm the bad guy for sharing this information. Number 7, do your cyber-op SEC and do it right. You already knew to prune any evidence from your social media, but I bet you didn't know you should also create a plausible cover story for missing information or blocks of time. Blaming it on an ex hacking and vandalizing your accounts after your bad breakup is a good old trusty. But you can really cook with your creative juices here. The more elaborate and pre-planned the story, the harder it'll be to crack on your new dude's prodding questions. Have an answer to every question. Most importantly, have fun. I gotta wonder if this gal is deliberately trying to cause all this trouble because pretty much her life stinks and misery loves company and all that. I mean, this is unbelievable. But nothing surprises me anymore. I'm sure to you guys, this doesn't surprise you either. And yet, again, people wonder why so many men are done with the dating scene, done with relationships. They just don't trust anybody anymore. Perfect example. At number 8, she says, and finally, always bring trusted friends in on the conspiracy. One more thing, make sure your friends are briefed. You don't want to be on a social situation where one of them suddenly blurts out, do you remember when we were in such and such and you did it with 3 men on that night in front of your man? What have I told you guys about girls and their friends? Well, you have to be careful who she hangs out with. And also, quite honestly, a lot of guys think, I got such a great relationship with her friends and they think I'm really cool. Let's be honest here. Unless they are interested in you romantically, because sometimes that happens and they're just hoping that your girlfriend messes up and they get their shot at you, their first loyalty is going to the girl. So you can't trust that. You think that they're going to keep it quiet. And a lot of gals will. So right here, instructing, have your girls all in on the same story so it doesn't get out. I did a story one time where this guy, they were playing like some truth or dare game or something like that with a bunch of people and there was drinking involved. And one of the girls made some crack about his girlfriend's past. And that got him thinking. And next thing you know, he found out that she was very, very adventurous, to put it mildly, back in college, and very, very freaky with the dudes with ways that she wouldn't give him, and turned this whole mess where he eventually left her. Now, I'm going to read some comments from people all over the world, and in particular, pay attention to the ones from the women when they hear this. This is from a woman. She says, this is the most disgusting article I've ever read. Disgraceful on every level. I really hope it was a joke. It's not. Women are not like this. Well, no woman I know. I feel sorry for a man that ends up with a disgraceful woman like this. Amen, sister. And the sad thing is, there are gals out there that, let's just say, are the types that we would actually hope to have. Traditional, feminine, all that, old school. Your girl next door. Sadly, it's become less and less. So not all are like what I talk about in these videos, contrary to what people think of me. However, it's shit like this that makes it that even those gals have good things aren't going to have a freaking chance. Another one, this is from a guy. He says, don't ask about her past, just go to bed with her, and while making love, ask her to give you some head. If she gives a skillful, enthusiastic BJ, then she's had lots of practice. What about sex? Is she adventurous in bed? Confident? If so, you have your answer. That's a good point. Another one, this is from a woman. She says, this is effing disgusting. As a woman, I take offense to this. Whoever dedicated time to writing this, rot in hell. Amen, sister. This is from a guy. He says, you should be jailed for number 6. Number 6 was the whole, say your past guys were abusive. You are disgusting for suggesting any of them. But you should be brought to the police for number 6. People need to understand there are consequences to actions. You need to understand this. And the sad thing is, we all know darn well in this world where a man can be accused of doing certain things, and without any proof, without any evidence, he's guilty. That's it. Guilty until proven, well, guilty. And last one, this is longer, but this is a great way to end this video. This is from a guy who says, everything about this is disgusting. Now tell us how to turn back the odometer. Lie about a 20-year-old leaky roof when selling your home, etc. The author literally says there is nothing wrong with being an SLUT, so if that is true, then why lie about it? Because everything is wrong about being an SLUT. You can no longer use the word intimate when discussing sex with your new man, because nothing is intimate when she's had more DNA in her than a lab in Wuhan. Second of all, every man a woman sleeps with increases the likelihood that she cheats and cannot pair bond with her man or her kids. A lot of studies have proven that. Plus, these gals are damaged goods. Men want gals with self-respect and restraint. No man wants a gal for a wife who is like the doorknob of the public library where every man has had a turn. This guy is creative. So the solution is highly immoral behavior, more immoral behavior. But hopefully you have trapped him into a marriage with a kid or two, all based on a lie about what he actually paid for before he divorces you. Amen, brother. That's exactly it. Hit the nail right on the head there, And about the whole pair bonding thing, again, like studies have done to prove that, And again, like I said at the beginning, it's one thing if a gal throughout her teens, like high school and college and 20s, had different boyfriends that she cared about, and obviously she's hooking up with him, relations with him. Okay, that's one thing. I got no problem with that. But when it's like 6 dudes in a week during freshman year or something exaggerated like that, and hiding and lying to the guy about it, then that's something different. But eventually it's going to come back to haunt them. And these are the gals that later on complain, "Where are all the good men? No men want me." Well, you made your bed, you lie in it. So, but anyhow, guys, that'll be a good one to go over here. Again, I appreciate the dude sending me this story. Be aware, guys. Sodom and Gomorrah 2.0 world. I gotta trademark that line. Don't you do it, because I gotta do it first. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And also, guys, if you got a great story that you'd like to share with me, your personal life, something you've overcome, something along the lines I do on this channel, by all means, email it to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Also, if you come across a really good article, something like this, or anything that's related to what I do, send it to me. Just be aware that it may take me some time to get to that, because I get to these things all the time. I get flooded with a lot of great stuff, and I'm trying to keep up. Sometimes it takes me a couple months to get to them, but I will get to them down the road if they work for the channel. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.